As the first crisp autumn leaves drifted onto my garden path, I found myself drawn to the subtle magic of vintage rustic decor. Imagine an old wooden trellis cloaked in amber foliage, moss-covered stone benches whispering stories of bygone summers, and heirloom garden tools glinting in the golden light. Today, I'm taking you on a walk through 5 timeless garden ideas that capture that season-spanning charm. Ideas you can bring to life in any backyard, no matter the weather. Hello and welcome to Green Home Living. Here, we share the best tips and inspiration for beautiful home and garden designs. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest content. A well-designed pathway acts as the garden's pulse, guiding visitors through each curated vignette. Opt for reclaimed wooden planks, aged flagstones, or hand-laid gravel to evoke that weathered charm. Pair the surface with low-grow edging, think bent pine or reclaimed brick, to keep the route defined yet organic. Incorporate soft lighting, solar lanterns or LED rope, along the edges for a magical twilight effect. When planning, consider the golden ratio for spacing. It feels natural and avoids overcrowding. Highlighting a mix of textures, smooth stone, rough bark, adds depth, while strategic planting, such as lavender or creeping thyme, softens edges and releases a subtle fragrance as you walk. This approach not only enhances accessibility, but also reinforces the vintage rustic narrative of your garden. Thank you to all who have subscribed and liked. May you stay healthy and live a long, prosperous life. Creating intimate seating nooks invites lingering and contemplation. Use repurposed barn doors, reclaimed wooden benches, or vintage metal chairs softened with weatherproof cushions in muted natural tones. Position them near focal points, like a rustic water feature or a blooming shrub, to frame views and encourage relaxation. Elevate the experience with hand-woven rugs or woven straw mats, adding tactile warmth. Incorporate potted herbs or climbing vines that grow over the frame, blending the seat seamlessly into the garden backdrop. For shade, consider a simple canvas awning or reclaimed pergola draped with climbing roses. These nooks become photo-worthy spots that boost engagement on social platforms while staying true to the vintage aesthetic. Weathered wood planters bring a nostalgic, handcrafted feel to any garden. Source old pallet wood, reclaimed barn wood, or salvaged fence posts. Then treat them with a natural oil or linseed finish to resist rot while preserving the aged patina. Opt for uneven hand-cut dimensions for an authentic, non-uniform look. Fill them with heritage varieties, such as heirloom tomatoes, dwarf fruit trees, or ornamental grasses, that complement the rustic vibe. Pair planters with matching wooden stakes for height variation, creating a dynamic planting palette. A touch of rustic metal hardware, iron brackets, copper nails, accentuates the vintage charm while providing structural support. This low-cost, eco-friendly option resonates with viewers seeking sustainable garden upgrades. Reclaimed bricks offer rugged elegance for garden beds, pathways, and raised borders. Look for salvaged kiln-fired bricks, reclaimed from old factories or demolition sites, and arrange them in running bond, herringbone, or staggered patterns for visual interest. Combine bricks with natural stone or reclaimed wood for mixed material edging, enhancing the rustic collage effect. When laying bricks, leave small gaps for moss or low-lying ground covers. These add softness and a living texture. Use sand-lime mortar for stability, but keep the joints slightly recessed to highlight the brick's aged surface. This technique not only defines spaces but also reinforces the vintage narrative, making your garden feel timelessly structured. Antique metal trellises, often made of wrought iron or rust-patinated steel, serve as both functional supports and decorative focal points. Source vintage garden trellises from flea markets, estate sales, or online vintage shops. Treat them with a clear rust-inhibiting sealant to maintain the weathered look while preventing further deterioration. Train vines, climbing roses, wisteria, or trumpet vines, to coil around the lattice, creating a living tapestry that drapes gracefully over fences or pergolas. The contrast of metallic framework against soft foliage amplifies the vintage rustic feel. For added drama, integrate hanging planters or potted herbs from the trellis, turning it into a multi-layered vertical garden that draws the eye upward. lighting can transform a garden's ambience after dusk, especially when using vintage-inspired fixtures. Choose repurposed metal lanterns, mason jar sconces, or antique oil lamps fitted with energy-efficient LED bulbs or solar panels. Position them along pathways, near seating nooks, or around water features to create soft, inviting pools of light. For a truly rustic vibe, drape string lights made of copper wire or fairy lights through tree branches and pergolas. Ensure the lighting is weatherproof and battery or solar-powered for sustainability. Proper layering, ambient, task, and accent lighting offers depth and guides movement, while reinforcing the heartbeat theme of a warm, welcoming garden. A water element adds serenity and motion to any rustic garden. Build a DIY bird bath using a repurposed metal tub, antique pitcher, or reclaimed stone basin placed on a sturdy wooden pedestal. For a small fountain, recycle an old cast iron pot or vintage milk can, connecting it to a submersible pump hidden within a weatherproof container. Incorporate natural stones and moss around the base to soften the industrial look. The sound of trickling water not only attracts wildlife, like hummingbirds and butterflies, but also provides an auditory cue that deepens the vintage garden's tranquil atmosphere. Cultivating heritage herbs, e.g., lavender, thyme, sage, rosemary, in rustic containers blends utility with aesthetics. Use old wooden crates, reclaimed tin cans, or distressed ceramic pots as planters. Line each container with burlap or recycled newspaper to improve drainage and keep the vintage look intact. Group herbs by culinary family for easier harvesting and visual balance. Add chalkboard labels with handwritten plant names for a charming, educational touch. The aroma of these herbs enhances the garden's sensory experience, while the rustic containers reinforce the overall vintage theme. Stone pavers, especially those reclaimed from old patios or historic sites, bring authentic texture to garden walkways. Select flagstones, bluestone, or limestone with natural irregularities. Lay them in a random pattern to mimic a naturally occurring path, leaving small gaps for ground cover plants like Thymus apillum or creeping phlox. Use gravel or sand to fill joints, creating a stable, slip-resistant surface. The contrast between the cool stone and surrounding warm wood or foliage emphasizes the rustic vintage atmosphere while ensuring durability and low maintenance. Turn old garden tools into decorative statements by embracing their patina. Find weathered spades, hoes, or watering cans at thrift stores or estate sales. Then clean and treat them with a clear matte sealant to preserve the aged look. Mount them on walls, lean them against fences, or hang them from wooden beams as functional art. Pair with herb bundles or hanging planters for a cohesive vintage tableau. These pieces not only celebrate sustainability but also add an authentic lived-in feel to your outdoor space. A color palette defines the visual harmony of a vintage garden. Embrace earthy tones, terracotta, sage green, muted mustard, and complement them with soft pastels like blush pink or lavender. Use these colors in plant selections, pot finishes, and fabric accessories, cushions, awnings. For a cohesive look, repeat the palette across hardscapes, textiles, and plant foliage. This balanced approach ensures the garden feels warm, inviting, and timeless, resonating with viewers looking for understated elegance. A repurposed farmhouse gate creates an inviting entry point and instantly conveys a rustic narrative. Source an old wooden gate, preferably with reclaimed planks and iron hinges, and restore it with sanded edges and a weatherproof stain. Install it as a standalone arch or gateway leading to a main garden pathway. Accent with climbing vines or hanging lanterns to soften the structure. This bold feature not only defines space but also serves as a photogenic backdrop for videos and photos, enhancing the heartbeat theme of entering a vintage sanctuary. Adding sculptural elements, such as bronze statues, antique wind chimes, or weathered wooden crosses, infuses personality and storytelling into the garden. Choose pieces with patina or distressed finishes that echo age. Position them on raised pedestals, within flower beds, or near water features to become focal points. Ensure the scale complements the surrounding plantings, allowing the sculpture to harmonize rather than dominate. These artifacts create visual interest and encourage viewers to explore the garden's narrative layers. A pergola adds vertical structure and shade, perfect for a vintage rustic oasis. Build one using reclaimed timber beams or weathered cedar, allowing natural knots and cracks to show. Incorporate cross-bracing for added strength and a classic look. Drape climbing roses, clematis, or grapevines to create a lush canopy that filters light. Enhance with string lights or lanterns for evening ambience. Include a seating area underneath with vintage cushions to complete the inviting, heartwarming space. season-appropriate plants ensures year-round appeal while maintaining a vintage aesthetic. Opt for early blooming bulbs, daffodils, crocuses, summer classics, roses, peonies, and autumn foliage, maple, ornamental grasses. Incorporate evergreen shrubs like boxwood or holly for structure during winter. Pair with heritage varieties, such as English lavender or Old World dahlias, to reinforce the timeless feel. Planning a successional planting schedule keeps the garden vibrant across seasons, encouraging repeat viewership and ongoing inspiration. If these seasonal gems sparked your imagination, give this video a thumbs up, let us know which piece you'll try, and subscribe for more seasonal design tips. Until then, keep your garden's heartbeat strong.